Chains, Part 8, written by Nicole Dhonash, narrated by Lucy Hillman. The sounds of laughter and metal scraping intensified my horror at being imprisoned. Tears kept streaming down my cheeks as the emotions from recent events surged back. I couldn't think straight, and a million questions started running through my head. Why did the stranger do this to Chris? Was Chris taken as well, or were these the people he was hanging out with up here? They seemed to know him, but they also didn't seem to care that he was hurt. No, he couldn't have been involved in all this. He wouldn't kidnap people, tie them up, beat people. No. It sounded more like I was trying to convince myself now, and I didn't know what was true. I started to feel panicked, and I needed to focus and calm down if I was going to make it out of here. After a few breaths, the tears stopped. I just needed to get out of here, and then I could maybe try to figure this all out. The smell of the dungeon reminded me of a fort that some neighborhood boys made in the woods when I was young. It was disgusting. I looked around, hoping to see a way out of here that maybe I'd missed before. The rope would be the easiest thing to wriggle out of, and I started immediately. The chains around my hands clinked as I worked to get free. Hopefully no one was around to hear. I wondered if the asshole stranger that ran away would come back and help me now that the crazed man was gone. The chains were much more difficult to get off. They seemed sized for a man, but I couldn't just easily slip out of them like I had hoped. I tried several times, contouring my hands to try and slide out of them. Finally, with a little help of some sweat and spit, I was able to get one free and felt around for some small object to try and pick the last lock. With a flash of relief, I remembered that I had a single bobby pin in my hair. I was annoyed that morning that my hair wasn't behaving, but now it was a saving grace. The lock on the chains was a simple latching lock. They must have been very old. I made sure to return the pin to my hair while hoping that I wouldn't need it again anytime soon. The door to my cell was ragged, old wood that was obviously broken a few times before. The metal bars were sturdy and too tall for me to do anything with, but the handle was rickety and there were scratches and marks on the wood around it, so I figured I could get out that way. I kept pulling and shaking, and my hands were starting to hurt. Out of frustration, I kicked the handle. To my surprise, the whole handle mechanism popped off of the door and landed on the ground. I pulled the door towards me with a slow creaking sound and looked towards the stairs on my right where the kidnapper took Chris. To my left was the way the stranger ran. Maybe if I went up where Chris went, I could help him. I had practiced growing up walking on wood floors and making no sounds. These floors were dirt and stone, but I still took care not to alert anyone. Slowly, up and around the spiral stairs I went. I heard nothing. It was eerily quiet in here after everything that just happened. Finally, I reached the door at the top. Sure enough, it wasn't locked. I heard some muffled sounds from behind the door. At this point, I thought I had to choose. Just run for it, or try and help Chris. I couldn't shake the thought that he was involved in all of this, but the idea that he might be a victim in this hellhole seemed almost as bad.